Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Mortensen?
Here.
Mr. Tadalini?
Here.
Mr. Winchemmer?
Here.
Mr. Chart?
Here. There is a quorum. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett?
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen?
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini?
Aye.
Mr. Winchemmer?
Aye.
Mr. Chart?
Aye. Motion carries. Next item of business, 3, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett?
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen?
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini?
Aye.
Mr. Winchemmer?
Aye.
Mr. Chart?
Aye. Motion carries. Next item of business is celebrations. Mrs. Cody, would you like to start with other celebrations?
I do. One of our big celebrations is that Brush High School softball won regionals. And so you'll see in my linked superintendent's report the bracket for state softball and some information. There will be a send-off during homeroom on Thursday, and the Booster Club will be giving a send-off on Friday. So just a big congratulations to BHS softball.
Any other celebrations?
I believe we had some golf participants at state as well. I don't know how they did. Marcia, do you have any reports on that?
We ended up taking 3rd in state.
That's
so
awesome.
Congratulations
Yeah,
to our
that's huge.
high school boys golf team. They
Very
did very
good.
well.
It's really good.
Very good. And next we'd like to recognize our outgoing board members. Put Mr. Brad on the spot. I just want to start by thanking you guys for all the time that you've spent. And it's been a pretty demanding time and a lot of ups and downs and numerous major issues that most school boards don't ever see. You guys had the pleasure of dealing with in your career as a board member, and I know that's taken a toll on the time you spent here and stress and all the emotional energy you put into this is huge. So I just want to thank you for that and all the things that you've done for the district and for the kids here. And I'll pass it off to Lacey, and we can just go around.
Sure. Brad, I feel the same way. Are we just recognizing Brad right now?
All 3 of them.
I
was just picking
Stick
on
with
Brad.
protocol. No, you're fine. I'll say something about each of them. I've appreciated you, Brad. There were times when there were hard meetings and you'd reach out and thank me for a perspective or an attitude or whatever. And I really appreciated that. And it helped me as a board member, not that it's pertinent to anyone else, but our personal beliefs, knowing that at the end of the day you pray over what happens in this room and you pray over our district and our students. That means a great deal to me. So I thank you for just being such a stand-up guy.
You're welcome.
Brandy, same story for you. I know you pray over all of it, and I appreciate you. I've loved getting to know you as a person and just being a great friend, and I look forward to that continuing. But thank you for the sacrifices you've made for the board. It's big, especially when you have a young family.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And Derek, same. Appreciate you coming on. You brought an initiative for the 4-day school week. I'm glad that was brought to us. I love that you're here. When you're here, you're quiet, but when you make a point, I feel like it's kind of like getting a hug from one of my children. One is a big hugger, the other's not. But when he hugs you, you know he means it. And I feel that's how you are when you speak. When you bring a point, it's relevant, it's short, concise, and it's appreciated.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Me?
Yep, if you want.
I'm a big proponent of community service, so it starts there. People in our community that are willing to step up into these roles is vitally important for the success of our communities. So thank you for doing so and for your time and your commitment and it's not a fun job. It just isn't, but it's an important job. And so really appreciate you guys all partaking in that endeavor. Thank you.
So you're gonna skip those two and go to me? That's why they have big smiles on their faces. 'Cause you think it's because of that. It's probably because you were the two that I reached out to the most when I first came on, both of yous. Your perspective, telling me some things, hey, back up to here, good with this, whatever, but both of you. And yeah, this has been a huge learning experience, and thank you guys both for the answer. Derek, didn't reach out to you at all that I know of, but
I didn't know anything, so.
I didn't either. So we're in the same boat. I knew he was in the same boat, and I figured it wouldn't go nowhere. So, but appreciate, Bryson hit it on the head. This is you're giving your time for this, and sometimes you get a pat on the back, and sometimes a kick in the butt. So hopefully, it's more pats on the back than kicks in the butt.
That's right.
Marcia?
I want to say thank you to all three of you. Being a board member is hard. It isn't a lot of fun, I would agree. But you sacrifice time with your family, time that you could have been doing it a million other things. But it's because you care about students, you care about this community. And thank you for the sacrifice of time and energy and giving up all the other things you could have done during the time that you provided to this district is huge. And so we have something to just, tiny little appreciation to say thank you. So if all three of you would come up here. Lacey's going to take your picture. You want to get this one too? Do Brandy and Lisa want to do her? Go right ahead, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to do that. Thank you, guys. I'll shake your hand. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Alright, ready? Perfect. Thank you.
What do we get? Donuts or muffins?
That's a heavy donut.
Thanks for
Yeah, right.
everything.
Last you for a day. Appreciate it.
Yep. Now if I call, it won't be about this.
That's good.
We'll be doing home, Marcia.
I don't know how that works.
Next time it's, they have to
Next
come.
time you have to
and they'll
swear in
how it
your
went through and
replace it.
almost there, Brad, almost.
That's what it's kind of fun.
Okay, next item of business will be DAC report. Mrs. Cody, you want to?
Absolutely. So DAC met on October 8th at 5:30. The focus for that DAC meeting, we're talking about the DAC draft goals for the 25-26 school year. Those goals are to provide oversight and recommendations for fund prioritization to the Board of Education by April 1st, 2026. The DAC will provide recommendations for revisions to the parent engagement policy and provide recommendations to increase parents' engagement with children. The third goal is the DAC will provide oversight and feedback on the district's UIP. And the fourth is the DAC will provide feedback and recommendations on district and school performance. So we discussed those to inform the parent engagement. We looked at a group of parent engagement assessments that are provided from the Colorado Department of Education. The acronym is FSCP, Family, School, and Community Partnerships. So they have several assessments. The DAC members chose to do a combination of several different assessments. They took questions from different ones that they felt pertained well to our district and things that they had heard. That went out, was opened up last week. We'll be promoting it more this week. Parents have until November 1st to complete it. To incentivize it, so if you're a parent, you are incentivized. The parents can win, I should say, a $50 gift card. So if you complete it and put your name on the survey, then your name will be entered into a drawing for a $50 gift card. Parents can complete it anonymously, so that is 100% fine too. Parents do need to identify which school they're completing it for. So if they have children in multiple buildings, then they're encouraged to complete it for each child or each building. And again, they put their name on that, and their name is entered into a drawing for one $50 gift card. That's in return for the time that they're giving to complete that assessment. That data will be taken to the DAC. Like I said, that will be closed on November 1st. The next DAC meeting is November 12th. And we'll look at that information and determine some action step for the parent engagement piece and parent involvement. Also, there were building reports. Mr. Tatalini did a board report. I provided my report, and including our metrics for our focus area, and mentioned that starting this month, which is actually this Wednesday, October 22nd, will be a coffee with Cody. That will be at Beach Street Coffee. It'll be from 9 to 10:30, and I invite the community members to come, sit and have a cup of coffee. There'll be drip coffee available, not lattes. You have to pay for those. But if they would like to have a cup of drip coffee, if they have suggestions, if they have questions, this is a very informal time where I'll just be there. I would love to engage with the community, and I will be doing this on a monthly basis. So the first one, this Wednesday, October 22nd, from 9 to 10:30. That's the next.
Next item of business will be the financial report. Mr. Yake, would you
Sure.
please present the financial report?
Yeah, so I'll read it again. I read it every month. It's been an incredibly busy and productive month as we continue the important work of trying to ensure the fiscal responsibility and programmatic improvement and long-term sustainability for our district. So here's a few things that we've done. You'll see tonight on the agenda, there's the NOCO Foundation, the scholarship custodianship. Basically what we would be doing is forming a partnership. It's not necessarily a direct handoff. You know, our donors and scholarship committees will continue to determine how scholarships will be awarded. The biggest change is the investment strategy. NOCO's methods are more flexible and in historic years have yielded stronger returns than we're able to achieve under school district investment rules. So it's like switching from a savings account to a high-performing mutual fund, but with the same oversight from our end. Their track record is excellent. We believe this move will stretch these numbers further and increase the number of scholarships possibly awarded over time. So that's that. Budget updates. We need to prepare for some tightening. We're currently working with CDE to get numbers. Due to a significant drop in enrollment, we're looking at revenue falling somewhere between $600,000 and $800,000 below projections for this year. I called Tim Colley today. He was out sick. He was going to give me some closer numbers. I got with Lindsay this morning and got some accurate numbers. It's not good though. But the silver lining to it is when we built the budget, we did it really conservatively, and I actually undershot the revenue by about $250,000. So it's not going to cover the whole thing, but it's going to cover a chunk. So our actual gap's probably going to be closer to $350,000 to $500,000. This does not include any possible rescissions that might come mid-year or any cuts in future years. That's just headcount reduction. So there could be more. To cover the shortfall, we anticipate pulling back on things like capital projects and possibly making some staffing adjustments depending on program needs. Like I said, this does not account for mid-year recessions from the state possibly or anticipated cuts next year, which unfortunately are rumored to be significant. Both Mrs. Cody and I have weathered financial storms before. 2008, 2015 were just awful, terrible years, and we're both committed to making smart strategic decisions and keeping cuts away from classrooms and core student services as much as possible. So that's that piece. Future insurance plans. We're looking to have some innovations with some possibly big savings. I reached out to Brian Perry with Peak Benefits and 550 Consulting. I worked with him at Bennett for a lot of years. I mean, we stubbed a lot of toes and banged a lot of heads, but we designed an award-winning health insurance plan that actually has won 3 national awards and has been published in books and case studies. And I'd like to, possibly look at bringing something similar to Brush. It could save us quite a bit of money. Fun fact is, we actually saved so much money over 10 years that I jokingly told my board I paid my salary for 50 years, which is true. That's how much we saved. Based on increases. We went up less than 1% 12 years. So it's something I was very proud of. We're exploring a self-fund model similar to what we did here. The approach improves steerage to a direct primary care providers for employees, more face time, better care. You can go into a traditional doctor's office usually. A third-party administrator to handle the claims, and a stop-loss coverage to protect the district from catastrophic expenses. It's basically insurance on top of insurance. So in simple terms, instead of paying $800 a month or so for employee per month in fixed cost, we pay around $200 in fixed cost and then fund actual claims. When I was at Bennett, our all-in cost was around $526 a month. If that incurred the same cost here, and that's what they ran this year all in, that's an actual number, we would have saved $400,000 to $500,000 and actually probably had just better coverage than what we have now. So there's some significant savings that we can see. A lot of the big districts are now copying this model, and for good reason. I'm very proud of the design. It's worked out well. We're also in talks with SIDSIP, the Carlisle School District Self-Insurance Pool. We've worked with them for a lot of years, trying to go with them for our property, our liability, all of our insurances. Hoping to save somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000 annually. We're going to have to exclude all of our storm damage, but once it's repaired, they will come out and re-inspect and they'll be covered again. So, but I think between the two of those, hopefully next year we can see a savings of somewhere between $500,000 and $700,000 realistically. So I think that's pretty huge. Our computer system, IV, nobody's a fan. Nobody, I don't think it ever has been a fan. It's been troublesome. And we've been flirting with the notion of going to SDS, which is a system Mrs. Cody and I both use. I've used it for almost 2 decades. I still use it with my site job that I do. It's a great system, it's easy to use, but the problem is you can't get it. They're not selling it anymore. Well, we happened to run across Glenn Gustafson with CDE, and he put us in touch with Sarah with Abacus. They all used to work for SDS, and somehow she has an exclusive partnership with SDS to where she can basically set us up with the program, but we have to go through them. So we found a way, hopefully. So we will be meeting with them later this week or early next week to ask some questions about transitioning and costs. Good news is SDS is about 1/3 or so of the cost of what we're currently paying, so that should be savings as well. And like I said, it's a better, much simpler, easier program as well. So I think that once we get it set up and running, we can make that system sing pretty easily. So HR support, we had a lady named Vicki Thompson come out. She gave a review. She's a very seasoned consultant and former HR director from some of the major metro districts. She worked for a couple of them. And she's offered to help us clean up some current systems, develop some consistent checklists, and establish long-term HR processes. I believe the partnership would add real value and ensure smoother operations moving forward. And that's something I would like to see moving forward with. I think she'd be great value for us. Just got a couple more things, I promise. I'm trying to be quick. Vision insurance fix. When we were at the meet and confer meeting, we had multiple complaints about our vision insurance. When we initially launched the vision plan, they didn't cover any of our local Morgan County eye doctors. So we worked quickly with our broker, put a little heat on him, and we switched back over to VSP within a couple of weeks. So everybody's got VSP, which is covered, I think, through just about everybody in Morgan County, and we got the same rate. So there was no adjustment in price. So I was really happy to get that done for the staff because that was a big deal. Head Start audit was done last week. The financial side of it, I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work to do the Head Start program. We wrapped it up last Thursday. We were able to avoid some of the findings because we were able to get in there really quick and fix a few things, and our auditor was very nice, the one I had, so she worked with us. There are 12 annual reports that I have to do for the Head Start program. And that does not include the monthly requirements that are required monthly as far as going and reporting to the committee. and everything else that has to be done. But there are two potential findings this year that I know of. One of them is the administrative cost cap was exceeded. This was in the 23 school year, so this was a year and a half ago. The federal limit is 15%, and our allocation was 24%. Somehow on paper, it said it was 10.7%, but I couldn't figure out how they came up with that number. We went through the ledgers and everything else, it was 24%. So what we're gonna do going forward is we're gonna adjust by allocating some of those administrative costs back to UPK, because the restrictions aren't there with UPK, so we can absorb it there and make that work. And there was I think it was called the SF4, there's a SF 424, 425, 428, and 429. They're just all over the place. But the 429 is one of the quarterly reports, and there was a quarter in 23 that it looks like it was submitted, but then it was rejected, and it was never resubmitted. It was never fixed. So that might be a finding as well. But overall, it was a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. Those are two, I mean, if anything else, I wouldn't even necessarily call them a slap on the wrist. I think that's gonna be very minimal, if anything. So, like I said, I learned a lot. There's a lot to do with it. So it's just gonna take a lot of time, a lot of effort to do it correctly moving forward, but we know what we need to do. So, Little Beats Preschool. I told you I'd give you guys a monthly update with staffing coming in and out. It's been, with it closing, and now the fact that it's going to different leadership next year, staff on this team and gone. I am still projecting somewhere in that $200,000 to $215,000 loss area. Right now, I think my estimate the other day was $203,000, but I mean, it's gonna be somewhere in that range, projected at least. So we're still right in that same ballpark. We've lost some kids, we've gained some kids, and we lose them again, then we've lost staff and gained staff, so it's just kind of hard to keep up with, but we try to do it a couple times a month and look at every line and try to do the best we can with that. But anyways, that's the projection right now, is we're still in that same range we initially talked about. Another thing that we've resolved is time clock compliance. We have resolved long-standing compliance issues around clocking in and out, especially for lunches, and enrolls legally required to track breaks and clock in and out. There were some people that weren't clocking in. Instructional pairs, as an example, are now compliant. So we've closed this gap moving forward. So that's going to be a good thing for us as far as from a risk point of view. We're covered, and everybody should get accurate pay based on accurate hours worked. So that's something that I'm happy with, that we finally got compliance in. An update on the 4-signature form. A little pain for a lot of gain, is what I'm saying here. The 4-signature form has caused some grumbling, mostly because it adds a little friction to the spending process, but it's working. Activity fund spending is down about 20% year to date from a year ago. And I think that's a sign that we're cutting back on unnecessary expenses. We're returning forms here from the district office within 1 to 2 business days. So we're trying to ensure both oversight and efficiency. And I anticipate somewhere between $75,000 and $100,000 in reduction in spending, which should hopefully increase trust within the community going forward, that we're doing it correctly. Activity accounts are still a few accounts I need to work on reconciling. The most important is FFA. It's on my list to get with Ms. Fay in November to work on and get that one dialed in. But there's still a few that we need to adjust, but we're working on. It's on my radar. Annual audit, as we're in motion right now. Mr. Farmer was here today. Today was our first day. We've this summer and this year, we've got hundreds of hours cleaning and adjusting entries, so I think we're gonna have a lot smoother audit this year. So far, we're moving right along. We had an issue this morning, not with the audit, but with the computer system, because of that Amazon Web Service hacker, we couldn't get on the software to pull reports, so that was a little troublesome this morning, especially when you have an auditor here and he wants reports and you can't get it for him. But basically, this week, he's gonna work on the field work, where as much as we can done this week, and then I'll reconcile to the auditor's trial balance. Next steps for me after that is uploading to the data pipeline, the CDE, and doing the compliance checks, the first and second level. The first level's mostly coding errors through the state, and from what I was told from Sandy, is there is hundreds of them. But it's gonna take some time, but I'm gonna fix them right. They're gonna be done right this year, so we don't have to fix them next year. You can get in there, it comes out in a Excel document, and I'm pretty sure last year they were just modified on the Excel document and reshot back up, and that's how it's fixed. But we're gonna do it right. So, and then the second level edits are more along the lines of something doesn't balance. It's like the state will say, you know, hey, we gave you $5,000 for the library grant, but you're only reporting 4,000. You know, if there's an error, why is that? You know, and stuff like that. So as long as your revenues tie out, your cash ties out, and everything else, you're pretty safe. And I think we're going to be pretty good on that stuff. So once that's done, I give the auditor the auditor's integrity report and the bullet balance sheet and the grants received report. And he will look through those and work on the MD&A, which is the management discussion analysis that goes in the audit book. We didn't do last year, but we have to this year. It's a legal requirement. It was last year too, but that's something we discussed. We fixed that going forward. And once that's all done, we'll have the audit book, and then I'll work on the financial accreditation, and we'll bring the auditor to give his report, vote on the audit approval, and I'll vote on the audit accreditation. Sorry. We're hoping to have everything complete by late November or December, so hopefully we don't have to have any extension. And like I said, final thoughts are, you know, just thanks again for your continued support. You know, I believe in the past, you know, few months we've made up more ground than we have in the last few years. It's not a hyperbole. It's thanks to the hard work of the team and the support from the board and clear focus on what we're doing, and that's what's best for kids. Once the audits are complete and the budget is balanced, and I just want you guys to know we will get there, no matter how deep it is. We will figure it out. I'm going to reassess the accounts, and I'm going to complete our operating statement budgets to make sure that they balance. Right now, I'd say they're probably at a 90+% accuracy rate, and I'd like to get at least 95 or better. There's always going to be a couple little accounts on that might not line up perfect, but as long as we get close, we're good. Last year, I'd say we were around 30%, so it's a big improvement. And then we'll begin next year's budget process after the holidays. And we'll sit there and go line by line, and we'll focus on what delivers the best outcome for students. So that's all I had. If you guys have any questions?
Guess not. Got off easy today.
All right.
Thanks a ton, Keith.
Thank you. Okay. You guys have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Thanks. Next item of business would be board reports. Do we have any board reports?
I have a couple. Get my glasses on here. Meet and confirm met Wednesday, October 8th. Really just went over the policy again, meet and confirm policy, trying to shore that all up and get it to a place they're happy with. The district-wide flu shot is 11/7, so November 7th. That was really about it. Is there anything you want to add? It was pretty simple, really. Looked at a couple different policies, but nothing that we'll be looking at too, but nothing that really sticks out that was, oh my gosh, yeah. And then also preschool policy council met same day. There were a few things that stuck out to me that I wanted to bring back. They give a meal report, so they talk about how many meals they serve. So far this year, they've served 1,568 breakfasts, 1,548 lunches, and 1,184 snacks. There's a family style requirement now in UPK that I did not know. And so they don't eat like at their desks or anything like that. They eat in a group at a table and they sit and enjoy it. And she said at first it was messy and it was complicated and it was confusing, but now what they're seeing out of that are better table manners. The kids are eating better, they're sharing better with their friends and people, they're sitting down longer, like their attention spans are better. So, you know, Kendra was like, I was really worried when we implemented it, but it's really been a big benefit in the classroom. So those things are awesome. He mentioned the audit, the FA2 visit. There's a health advisory meeting that they're welcoming the community and stakeholders to come to. I did not write that date down. I don't know if you know that or
I
not.
don't know it off the top of my head.
I'm sure I took so many notes. And then they had 8 families come to their coffee chat, which was really, really good. That's a big number, I guess, from what they said. And they said that there were only 3 parents missing at their family partnership, their parent meeting that they had where the parents came with the kids and did the activities. There were only like 3 parents missing, and that's a big deal too. That's about it. It's the highlights anyway. Pumpkin carving is coming up. That's it. Always fun.
Any other board reports?
BOCEs last month, nothing too big. The one thing that just keeps sticking out to me when we talk about BOCES is a lot of the schools are starting to put students at the board seat. So it'd just be something that you guys continue to think about with your oncoming board. Is there an opportunity to bring kids and eventually to sit here as well? So I think that'd be neat for the district. But I will say November 20th, there will be a BOCES meeting. And since I am off, we'll just maybe be aware that somebody's gonna have to step in. You can physically go to that meeting in Greeley at the campus. They do dinner at 5:30, meeting at 6:30, or you can Zoom in at 6:30. And Patty Greenlee is the contact I've been working with there. She reaches out to the board. So
What day was that, Brandy?
it's November 20th at 6:30. So just somebody's gonna have to do that.
I know I've been your backup, so if we don't have
Okay.
anybody that
Thanks
wants
for
to
the
do
heads
it,
up on that.
Yeah,
yeah,
just
when we're
for-
ready, you can.
There'll be a lot of transition right there. So
Yeah, absolutely. If
You
you
don't
want to send me
miss
it
it.
just in case, and then if someone new coming
Okay.
on wants to take BOCES, they can have it.
I'll
but-
just forward you the calendar now.
That's perfect.
And then you guys will figure it out. But
Yeah.
okay.
I went to a
That
couple
was
for
it.
you, so, yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Brandy.
Yeah.
Any other board reports?
We did have finance committee meeting this afternoon before the meeting. I don't have anything additional to add outside of Keith's report.
Very good. Thanks, everyone. Next item of business would be the CIDA Curriculum Instruction Data and Assessment Report. And Mrs. Kimball is unable to join us, so Mrs. Cody's going to provide that report.
All right, so the first piece, and this is linked in board book. The first piece is curriculum development. For curriculum development, elementary is focusing on piloting a new English language arts curriculum. Right now, they're piloting CKLA, which is core knowledge. In the spring, they'll be piloting L education. So we did observations of CKLA recently, and a lot of strong pieces of instruction. Particularly, I want to note Mrs. Creech. I was in 2nd grade, and it was so neat to watch her engage the students with knowledge. They were talking about democracy and marathon, and it was phenomenal. It was fascinating, and all the students were talking. They were using academic vocabulary. It was just really well done. Also saw a great lesson in 5th grade too. So that was fun to see. At the secondary, they're completing their needs assessment for science, social studies, and business education curriculum. Curriculum is one of our initiatives and focus areas for our MLO. So that's something that we've committed to this community to focus on and make sure that we have good, strong, aligned curriculum resources. So when we're making those strategic budget cuts, that's one that we still hold close. Instructional focus, the latest data as of October the 8th, on learning objectives, 88.5% of observed classes had posted objectives. 76.9% of those objectives were aligned to grade level standards. 38.5% contained a measurable student outcome, and 61.5% had a lesson aligned to objectives. As far as student engagement, 65 and 4/10% of students were engaged in speaking, writing, or performing during those observations. About 27% were engaged throughout the lesson, and about 20% of the students observed were engaged in grade level writing. So that was as of October 8th. Tomorrow we will be back in classrooms all throughout the day doing observations, so you'll see more information on that as we continue through this month. As far as assessments, we're working on an assessment system map, and I'm actually going to skip towards the back where it has the assessment reporting. So you can see the assessment timeline right now. Through PK-12, they were working on vertical progressions and grade level writing. And in October and November, the secondary campus was working on assessment mapping, which shows what are the key formative assessments, the daily exit tickets, and the summative performance tasks. For some content areas and grade levels at the secondary campus, they do have assessments that they're refining, revising, make sure they align and are connecting to the assessment map. If not, then we're going to need to create those assessments for each of those understanding by design or UBD units, curriculum resource or curriculum units. Also in PK5, they worked on vertical progressions for writing as well as gradual release, I do, we do, you do, and be clear about explicit instruction or that gradual release model. And February through 12th, or February through April, PK through 12th, they'll be working on assessment expectations. That includes the additional mapping that will need to take place, as well as writing those summative assessments. The initial training for assessments will take place in February for preschool through 5th grade. All math end-of-unit assessments need to be uploaded into Atlas by May 1st of 2026. A couple of other pieces as far as the CETA. You've probably heard us talk about easy grants. There's 2 easy grants that we're implementing right now. The first one is the Easy Grant Instructional Coaching, which is paying for substitute positions at Thompson and at Beaver Valley. And those instructional coaches are meeting with and supporting teachers at all 4 schools. And it's focused on supporting their identified needs for each individual teacher, as well as district goals. The second EASY grant is to provide Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol training and Universal Designs for Learning, often referred to as SIOP and UDL training. We've had 2 UDL trainings for staff with a total of 25 staff members attending, and for SIOP they've had 2 in-person, 1 virtual training session for SIOP, with 1 remaining session coming in November, with a total of 13 staff members. Those are happening outside of school time on Fridays or in evenings. We also have the Brush Counselor Corps grant. We had a big data dive on October 15th. Each school identified 2 focus areas, which are on attendance and student achievement. The next step will be conducting a needs assessment specific to those focus areas, and they're required to engage at least 2 stakeholder groups when conducting those needs assessments. The stakeholder groups are students, staff, parents, and so forth. All right. I think that's it. I'm just reading Ms. Kimball's report, so I apologize for, she would have said that much better. There is one more piece that Mr. Yake referenced, and she references at the end, which is our enrollment. So at the very end, you'll see a link to enrollment. It is down. And it's down to 1,212 students. We've been having discussions about why that is, and we know that 30 students went to online school. 14 of those are at goal. 14 additional students went out of state. So just some of the rationale that we know so far. We have an instructional admin meeting this Thursday, and at that time we're going to talk about it some more. Root cause, possibly doing student and parent exit surveys when they withdraw. So just being aware, it's also something that's happening across our state, and districts across our state are declining in enrollment. So what do we do? How do we navigate that? Mr. Yake is 100% correct. We're going to be making cuts. We have to. And so the conversation this Thursday will be, how are we going to make those cuts? We want to be very strategic. I don't want to do what's easy. I want to do what's best. So be prepared for some conversations about that. It will not, I'm going to say it again, will not be easy. It's nice when you have a ton of money, right? Think about your own households. When you have just a ton of money, it's so easy. Everything seems great. When things are tight, it's challenging. So I'm just putting that there. There's some conversations that will need to be had, but we will keep students at the forefront. That will be our focus. That will be the priority. That's why we're here, is about student outcomes. So those conversations will take place. You'll really see it at the revised budget in January. Okay? All right. Any questions about the CETA report? And Ms. Kimball wanted me to say, any board member is welcome to reach out to her. She'd be happy to meet with you. It was unexpected. She was planning on being here. So she's happy to have a conversation with any of you.
Very good, Tori. Thanks for that report.
Right. Any questions you want me to take back to her? Okay. Just feel free to reach out to her too. She's. And thank you for putting up with me.
Well, we get more now. Under
And
superintendent's
more,
report.
right? I know this report a little better, so that helps. All right. Couple of things are that At the next official meeting on November 10th, we will be introducing and seating our new board and doing a reorganization meeting. So you'll be electing your board officers. I need to know if you want to recommend a revision to your board policy to have a secretary of the board. You have a secretary to the board, and Mrs. Smith, and we are so grateful for her work, very needed. Your board policy says you also elect a secretary of the board. So would you like to move forward with planning to elect a secretary of the board, or do you want me to recommend a revision in policy?
What kind of duties does that role hold? We haven't had one. So what is it that we're missing? What is that person ultimately responsible for? I guess would be a question.
Great question. We are blessed with Mrs. Smith, so fortunately that person does not have to take the minutes. A lot of times that person does take the first look at the minutes to make sure they're accurate. They review them. Sometimes they're signing. There are some documents that say board secretary, and that is really the person that's supposed to sign those, is the secretary of the board. Outside of that, the only other thing, because my previous boards at different districts did have a secretary of the board, I can only say one time when the secretary to the board was absent, I had offered to take the minutes, and the secretary of the board said, no, I have it. So he did agree to do that, but that is not required. I could always do that, or we would have a sub if. We'll just, hopefully Mrs. Smith is never absent, right? But that's pretty much it, is reviewing the minutes that Mrs. Smith writes and sometimes signing some documents.
Any thoughts?
What type of documents?
I'm trying to think. I want to say there were a couple of grants the secretary of the board probably wrote or signed. Not a lot, one or two, where it said the board president and board secretary, but there weren't very many.
It might be the auditor's report.
I'm trying to remember. I don't want to misstate what it was.
It isn't very many.
Right. 2 or 3, maybe annually.
So was it sufficient with the president's signature, or what did you back up?
We've just had Mrs. Smith sign it. She's the secretary to the board, and that's what we have at this point. But we probably either need to revise policy or elect a secretary of the board.
Can we reword policy so that it says we may have a secretary?
We absolutely can revise
That way,
policy.
I mean,
The new board coming in could weigh in on that,
Mhm.
where this is, we're gonna have 3 roll over, and just for right now, like Paul said, reword it to May, and then we can have that discussion.
Mhm. I'll bring that to a first reading next month. That way you can look at that. Okay. Also want to invite you to the Brush Middle School Veterans Day ceremony. It is on November 11th at 8 a.m. It's worth coming to. Ms. Streitz does a very, very,
So
very good
good.
job. And so do the 8th graders. So I would highly encourage you to attend. Again, November 11th at 8 a.m.
At the middle school, the secondary campus.
at the secondary campus in the auditorium, exactly. Mr. Yates mentioned that you have an action item to move the scholarship accounts to the NOCO Foundation to yield a better interest rate and take them off our books. We would still retain ownership, but that is an action item tonight. There's also an action item for a 4-year CD for $200,000 at 3.75% through Bank of Colorado and through Raymond James. So that's one. That's an action item as well. Another action item is a curriculum resource for our students with significant needs. We often call them SSN, significant support needs students or program. That's the 1% of students. So approximately 10% of students have an IEP, an individual education program. Some people think that P stands for plan. That's an IEP, they're in special education. Out of those 10%, there's 10%, so 1% of your student population that's considered significant needs. We would like to have a really strong curriculum resource, and this is one that was recommended to us. Ms. Shaver with St. Bosie's and I attended a demo of it last week, and we just think it sounds spectacular. Has a lot of data, progress reporting. It's meant for each individualized student, has job skills starting at an elementary age, just a lot of great things. So let me know if you have questions about that. Super excited about that one. Couple of other things. PBC has been on site to do lesson studies to support new teachers and will continue to do that. We also had our first AI and Tech Task Force meeting of the year last Monday, a week ago, to discuss our PK through 12 tech guidelines. Those will come to you no later than April, whatever those draft guidelines are for the use of technology. And by the use of technology, we're talking independent use of technology, not things like NWA or DIBELS or what a teacher is using. We're talking about the independent tech time. A couple of other things. You have an action item on the agenda for the guaranteed maximum price for our TPS HVAC project, so that is an action item. Our TPS roofing project is moving forward. We have signed the contract. You took action on that earlier this month. And we're in conversations with our insurance company about that claim. So that one just continues to be a topic of conversation. So, but moving forward with it. You also have your personnel report, so you can see that. The next piece that's really important are several policies up for first reading. So I'm going to do some highlights, some high levels of some of our policies. Let me grab them here. You have them linked in your agenda. The first one that I'm recommending for revision is policy JH, student absences and excuses. You'll notice that a lot of the shells have been changed to wills throughout this policy, so that has happened, as well as changing the habitually truant from 10 days to 15 days. So just making sure that's clear, making what that is before we proceed with truancy court. Just making sure we're taking our most urgent needed cases to truancy court. The next one is JICJ. This is the student use of electronic communication devices, and the recommendation here is to align our policy to our secondary handbook. And so the recommended change in language says students are not allowed, and this comes straight out of the handbook, so there's congruency there. Students are not allowed to use or access cell phones, smartwatches, earbuds, or other devices with the ability to call, access apps, or text during school from when a student enters a building until they exit the building, except as provided in an electronic device agreement. Students with medical conditions that require monitoring will have the ability to use or access these devices with restrictions as written into their individual agreement. So that will be up for a second reading next month. The next one is policy JIH, student interviews, interrogations, searches, and arrests. The changes here are on the second page, and it's just incorporating the phrase electronic devices into this. We had some conversations about this, and it just says it may include the search. It doesn't mean that it will, but it just says yes. There are times where we do need to look at a student's electronic device, and we have the right to do so under certain parameters. Law enforcement has to have a warrant to be able to search that, so we have a little bit more ability than law enforcement. And there's just certain times when actions that are noted that are part of a discipline action when we would need to do that. The next one are all about drug testing, so I'll just go through those. So you'll see JJAR1, JJJAR2, JJJE1. And so these are just aligning our drug testing policy, so it's only for the high school. Middle school is not included in drug testing. Drug testing is expensive, and it's meant for students that are engaged in extracurricular activities, so you'll see that, although people can voluntarily become a part of the testing bank if they want to be. All right, the next one are our second reading policies.
Access to those things.
So those are all the ones for first reading. The ones up for discussion tonight. The first one is GBBR. This is Meet and Confer Committee. You'll notice nothing is redlined or struck through here because this is a new policy. It's a regulation fitting under GBB. So GBB, it references Meet and Confer and staff decision making. This is a regulation that will go underneath that. There are a couple questions we noticed after the last, when it was introduced at the last board meeting. So we just clarified that at the last Meet and Confer meeting, and that's the version you have in front of you. So if you notice a couple changes from first to second reading, that is why. Thoughts, questions on GBBR? The next one up for second reading is JRC, Student Records and Release of Information. This one, again, is due to Senate Bill 25276, so that will also is the cause for KLG and KLGR. A lot of changes from shall to will here as well. And some different punctuation, making sure there's capitalization throughout the policy. That's taking, the key piece on JRC is on the last page where it says disclosure of directory information, and the word may include, and then we struck through email address and date and place of birth. So that is JRC. Any questions or thoughts on that one? Right, next is KLG. KLG is including the word federal and with our relations with state agencies policy, so you'll see that federal is included in that policy. Questions on that one? The last one is KLGR. This is a new regulation that is required to be adopted. And this is talking about how we respond to requests or access to information. Any questions on that one? Those are all on your agenda as well to be moved from a second reading to a third reading. As far as third reading, you have two policies ready to be approved for third and final reading. And that is IKFE, which are the metrics for graduation. Those metrics have been in place for quite some time. We did update the handbooks, and I didn't mention the handbooks. The handbooks are also up for second reading. The middle school, high school, and athletic handbooks, I didn't print those off in front of me, but those are up for second reading as well. Were there any questions about the handbooks? We were doing some updating even today, so just know that those are ready for you to move to a third reading, but there was some additions, some edits, not additions, more edits and revisions from today. So one of the revisions is making sure that in the metrics that are in the handbook do include the latest numbers on IKFE. On IKFE, you'll notice that the number for the math SAT went from 500 to a 480, and so those are in alignment. And then the last one is KDB, and that, let me just pull it up here, I should pull these up since they're final reading. This is just changing the amount that we're charging for core request. So it's just increasing the hourly rate. Any questions on that policy? And that's all I have. There was a lot of policies, felt like more than normal.
Any questions on superintendent's report? Next item of business, there doesn't appear to be any community comment. Next item of business would be 9.1, NOCO Foundation. Is there a motion for item 9.1?
I move to transfer the funds from Fund 27 and Fund 72 to the NOCO Foundation, thereby closing both funds while ensuring the Brush School District retains continued access to these funds.
Second.
So moved and seconded to transfer the funds from Fund 27 and Fund 72 to the NOCO Foundation, therefore closing both funds while ensuring that Brush School District retains continued access to these funds. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini.
Aye.
Mr. Winchemmer.
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item of business, 9.2, certificate of deposit.
I move to approve the Brush School District's pursuits of a $200,000 CD for a 4-year term at Bank of Colorado Investment Services.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Brush School District's purchase of a $200,000 CD for a 4-year term at Bank of Colorado Investment Services. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini.
Aye.
Mr. Winchemmer.
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item of business, OTECA.
I move to approve the invoice for $13,800 to OTECA for the SSN curriculum resource.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the invoice for $13,800 to OTECA for the SSN curriculum resource. Is there any debate?
I'm just curious, when we keep talking about cuts, why do we need this if we haven't had it in the past?
For two reasons, and that's a great question. One, our MLO is set for curriculum resources. The other is when we did the SSN review about a year ago, Leslie Shaver and I went through all of the schools to assess our SSN program. This was a need, is making sure that we had purposeful and intentional goals for our students and that we are working on those. So that when students are mainstreamed into a classroom or worked with independently in a special ed classroom, that we were focusing on their specific individual goals and growing because they can achieve as well. It's a great question, Ms. Rowland.
Any other debate? Motion on the floor is to approve the invoice for $13,800 to OTECA for the SSN curriculum resource. There's no further debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini.
Aye.
Mr. Winchemmer.
No.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item of business, 9.4, BBD guaranteed maximum price for TPS roof. Is there a motion for 9.4?
I move to approve the guaranteed maximum price proposal from BBD in the amount of $4,390,162, inclusive of the already contracted pre-construction design services fees of $234,954.35, and to delegate authority to the superintendent to execute the GMP amendment via DocuSign following final review of the contract amendment, and to further authorize the superintendent to act on potential future change orders within the approved project budget during the normal course of business, and then to report to the board at the next available board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
So we moved and seconded to approve the guaranteed maximum price proposal from BBD in the amount of $4,390,162, inclusive of the already contracted pre-construction design services fees of $234,954.35, and to delegate authority to the superintendent to execute the GMP amendment via DocuSign following final review of the contract amendment, and to further authorize the superintendent to act on potential future change orders within the approved project budget during the normal course of business, and then report to the board at the next available board meeting. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini.
Aye.
Mr. Winchemmer.
Aye.
Mr. Chart.
Aye, motion carries. Next item of business, 9.5, personnel report.
I move to approve the personnel report as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the personnel report as presented. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini.
Aye.
Mr. Winchemmer.
Aye.
Mr. Chart.
Aye, motion carries. Next item of business, 9.6, policies. Is there a motion for 9.6?
I move for policies GBBR, JRA, JRC, KLG, and KLGR, and BSC handbooks to be moved to third and final reading at the next regular board meeting, and policies IKFE and KDB be granted for final approval.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded for policies GBBR, JRA, JRC, KLG, KLGR, and BSC handbooks to be moved to a third and final reading at the next regular board meeting, and policies IKFE and KDB be granted final approval. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini.
Aye.
Mr. Winchemmer.
Aye.
Mr. Chart.
Aye, motion carries. Next item of business would be information items. Mrs. Cody will be at Beat Street Coffee at, is that
Should be
9 to 10:30 a.m. For Coffee with Cody on October 22nd. I would urge board members to try to get community members to come engage at that. It should be a great opportunity to get feedback from the community. Next work session will be Monday, November 3rd at 6 p.m. Next board meeting, November 10th at 6 p.m. And next item of business would be our debrief. Mrs. Cody, do you have any clarifications on anything? Or any board members have any clarifications? Any board members hear anything during this meeting that makes you feel it needs to be addressed in policy? Or anything that we need to add to a future meeting agenda or work session? There's no further business. Meeting is adjourned.
That was the last time you get to say
What's the process for us then? Do we come to the next one or what?
Yeah, you come to the next one, and you'll open the meeting